A voice that stopped the world in 2012, but a face that today, many wouldn't even recognize. We all remember the moment the shy, trembling teenager stood before Simon Cowell, only to unleash a tenor voice that felt like it belonged to another century. But as we move through 2026, the story of Jonathan Antoine has shifted from a simple talent show success to one of the most dramatic and inspiring human transformations in modern music history. He isn't just the opera boy anymore. He has emerged as a completely different man, shedding both physical weight and the heavy burden of a hidden identity that almost cost him everything. The health revolution hook. Behind the standing ovations was a man losing a battle with his own body until he decided to fight back. For years, Jonathan's physical appearance was as much a talking point as his vocal range, but in 2026, the headlines are focusing on a radical, disciplined metamorphosis. The singer has officially gone public with the details of his journey, revealing how he managed to drop over 5 stone, that's more than 70 pounds, after reaching what he describes as a total rock bottom during his time working in the United States. While living across the Atlantic, the pressures of fame and the accessibility of a poor diet led to a health spiral that left him feeling sluggish, depressed, and physically restricted. He admitted in recent interviews that he was in a terrible state, but the version of Jonathan we see today is the result of a complete lifestyle overhaul. Instead of falling for fad diets or extreme surgical interventions, he opted for a remarkably grounded approach. He committed himself to a rigorous but sustainable regime, revolving around the simple goal of hitting 10,000 steps every single day. He began to view movement not as a chore, but as a lifeline. This 2026 version of Jonathan is lean, energetic, and visibly more comfortable in his skin, proving that the greatest comeback isn't always on a stage, but in the mirror. He's been very open about the fact that he didn't do this for the industry or to fit a specific pop star mold. He did it because he realized that if he didn't change, he wouldn't be around to see the next decade of his career. This physical shift has seemingly unlocked a new level of vocal power, as he no longer struggles with the breath control issues that sometimes plague larger singers. It's a testament to his willpower, showing that even when you feel you've gone too far down a certain path, you can always turn around. The autism revelation and mental health hook. For nearly 3 decades, he wasn't just shy. He was navigating a world built for someone else. Perhaps the most significant news regarding Jonathan in 2026 isn't what he's lost, but what he's found: his identity. In a move that has resonated deeply with the neurodivergent community, Jonathan has been speaking out about his 2022 autism diagnosis. For 28 years, he lived in a state of constant sensory overload and social confusion, often being labeled as difficult or painfully shy, when in reality his brain was simply wired differently. This diagnosis acted as the final piece of a puzzle he had been trying to solve since childhood. He describes the realization as a daydream coming to life, a moment where the mask he had been wearing for the public finally fell away. This newfound clarity has allowed him to address the darker chapters of his past with brutal honesty. He's hinted at the scary moments following his Britain's Got Talent run, where the bullying and the sudden thrust into the global spotlight led to a severe mental health crisis. There were times, he suggests, where the weight of the world felt so heavy that he considered stepping away permanently, using indirect language to describe a period where he felt he had reached the end of his rope. But by embracing his neurodiversity in 2026, he has turned his greatest vulnerability into his greatest strength. He is no longer apologetic for his eccentricities or his need for specific environments. He's become a vocal advocate, showing that being on the spectrum isn't a barrier to a massive career, but rather a unique lens through which he can interpret music. This transparency has created a deeper bond with his fans, the Fantoines, who see him now not just as a performer, but as a survivor of a system that often fails to understand those who don't fit the standard mold. The career pivot and the Charlotte silence hook. The duo that defined a generation of talent shows hasn't spoken in years, and the reason isn't what you think. As we look at Jonathan's professional trajectory in 2026, the question on everyone's lips remains, where is Charlotte? It's been over a decade since the pair went their separate ways, and despite the constant rumors of a reunion, the silence between them remains deafening. News reports indicate that while there was no explosive shouting match or public feud, the two have effectively ceased all communication. Jonathan has been clear that their dreams simply diverged. He wanted to explore the vast, experimental reaches of his tenor voice, while the industry initially tried to keep them in a box of safe, classical covers. Today, Jonathan is leaning into a bold new sound with his 2026 album, Speaking to You. This project is a far cry from the operatic standards of his youth. It's a fusion of his classical training with contemporary vulnerability, featuring tracks like his soul-stirring rendition of All of Me. He's also expanded his portfolio beyond music, surprisingly emerging as a novelist and a cultural commentator. His 2026 schedule is packed with international performances, from the historic theaters of London to ancient amphitheaters in Greece, but he's doing it on his own terms now. He no longer follows the major label playbook that dictates how a classical artist should act or dress. He's embracing his love for technology, writing, and advocacy, creating a brand that is as multifaceted as his personality. The opera boy is dead. In his place stands a versatile artist who has proven that you don't need a partner or a reality TV judge to validate your worth. He is navigating the complexities of the 2026 music industry with a level of autonomy that most artists only dream of, proving that true success is the ability to say no to the wrong projects so you can say yes to the right ones. He came for the crown, but he stayed for the truth. Jonathan Antoine's journey from a bullied teen to a 2026 powerhouse is a reminder that our beginnings never have to dictate our endings. He's conquered his health, mastered his mind, and reclaimed his voice. As he continues to break barriers for the autistic community and redefine what it means to be a modern tenor, one thing is clear: the best of Jonathan Antoine is yet to come. But it makes you wonder, if he could find the courage to unmask his true self in front of the whole world, what's stopping the rest of us from doing the same?